Hi, everybody, and welcome. So today we have a special guest. We have Raj Sisodia. Raj is the founder of Conscious Capitalism, has written 11 books, and his last one was on healing. It's called The Healing Organization. And so the other day he was asking me some questions about alignment. I said it was one of the most important things to me, and he was asking me to explain different aspects of it. And I thought, well, let's just do this and make it a video so everyone can learn. So welcome, Raj.
Thank you, Neha. Great to be with you today. Yeah, so this idea of alignment, I know, is something that you hold very, very dear and consider very important in every aspect. And so I just thought we'd dive into some of the details about it, what it is, and how can we become more aligned, and what are the consequences of becoming aligned, and what happens if we're not, and so forth. So let me just start by asking you just to define it. What do you mean by alignment?
So I think of alignment as leading from the inside out. So most people live their lives and they're looking outside themselves to see what other people think is okay, to see what society's rules are that would make them successful, to get accolades, awards, recognition from others. And to me, that's living life from the outside in, and oftentimes other people's dreams, visions, ideas become theirs, even when it's not really who they are. And that leads to a big lack of alignment and confusion in the world. So that's really how I think of it. There's a way that I think of it that I think is really relevant to our times now, which is, I have to heal me in order to use what I learn in healing me to serve the we, or the community, and ultimately impact and maximize my ability to change and sustain that change in the world. So alignment to me is the foundation. If you think of it like a building, it's the foundation and the structure of the building, that they are all aligned and solid, and they are able to rest on one another in order to withstand holding a building up through adverse weather, through kids running around, through all the things that might be happening. If things are aligned, they're stronger, they're clear, they're transparent. If you go into a wall to do construction, you're not going to find a bunch of mishmash. You're going to find solid, clear alignment. And so does that make it clear?
So if I think about just the word alignment, right, we use it in different contexts. So one is, for example, when you get to your car, the wheels of your car aligned. They're literally all pointing in the same direction.
That's right. That's right.
Now, if you have some pointing this way, some pointing that way, then obviously you're not going to go very far or very fast. So I think part of it is everything in harmony, everything pointing to the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a sense in which you mean it as well? Is it like the mental, emotional, the different aspects of us are all in harmony with one another?
Yeah. So let's stick with your car analogy here for a moment, because it's not just that all the tires are in the same direction, because sometimes there's they're all in this direction. There's like a pull that goes on with the car, right? So that's a part of it, that when you have multiple pieces, so there's individual alignment, there's team alignment, right? And then there's a greater community world alignment. And I think, to make things simple, people don't want to think of the complexity of what it requires to have what I call triple vision, right? The heal me, serve we, impact world. So yes, on the alignment with your car, excellent example, but just because all of them are moving, are in a certain direction, that might not be the direction you want to go. So what determines that is, are each of them first in alignment with themselves before they come together as four wheels to be in alignment to take a car somewhere? So there's individual alignment, then there's values alignment, like in a company, how you teach conscious capitalism. It's about, are the
Oh,
certain
sorry,
direction.
you froze there for about 30 seconds.
Oh.
The last, yeah, but I think we can move on. So again, you were talking about the alignment of people with the larger entity and then with the world. But is there like an internal alignment? Like what do I need to do to get in alignment with myself first?
So I think it's always good to start with biology. So it's good to start with the physical world. The physical world is like the body of a car, right? It's like, does it actually function? Like, is it working? So the first place to start is making sure, the basics are handled, which is how am I sleeping? How am I eating? Am I moving? And, what's my energy like throughout the day? So that's a good place to start. The next thing you want to pay attention to in alignment is your mental world. Your mental world are your thoughts. So if I'm thinking to myself, I want to write a book, but like, I'm not really that great of a writer. No one's ever going to pay me to do it. I mean, will anybody read it anyway? So right there, maybe I have the physical strength and the determination to write a book. But when my thoughts are not in alignment with that around the goal that I have, I'm now going to shift into my emotional space of feeling rejected, not taking risks, not wanting to put my book proposal out there, or whatever it is, right, that the goal is. Build a company, start a new business, be an entrepreneur, whatever it is. Start a new relationship. So your thoughts are connected to how you feel. So notice how you feel about something and then trace it back to what you think about it. Because oftentimes, just because someone wants to do it, they ready themselves physically, those undermining thoughts can lead to emotions that have them be out of alignment with the thing that they say that they want. Then I'd say spiritual alignment. What I mean by that is what you value, what matters to you, that you believe that what you get up every morning to do matters in the world, that it makes a difference. And so are you connected to that part of you that feels purposeful and meaningful? So those are the different ways that I think of the individual and how each of them must align in order to be in alignment. Then we move into social. And the social aspect, because every human being has a deep need to belong and be connected. Now it's about, this is where it gets tricky, because for our very existence from when we were little, we were born, and how good we were at getting other people's attention, noticing what made them smile, all that stuff, was how quickly our dirty diaper got changed and how quickly we got fed or picked up after a nap. So our instant and instinctual ability developed to look outside of us to see the reactions rather than inside. So social conditioning can really change or have somebody go off alignment and not know who they are, that is separate from who other people are, who society, your family, your partner, your community, your business, what they think of you. And so first get aligned internally, and then get really clear about who you are, what you value, how you're feeling, what you want. Then look around and see who else aligns with your belief system, right? Your values. So it's leading from the inside out.
But if there's a conflict, like let's say intellectually I decide that this is something I want to do, but then my body sends me a signal of discomfort with it. Do I then say, well, that's probably not the right thing for me to do? Or do I say that I need to figure out how to get my body to cooperate with what I really want to do?
Well, good luck with getting your body to cooperate.
Well, if you breathe, if you're getting anxious, you
Right.
can try to calm yourself, etc. Right?
Right.
You might have a fear of change, and you need to work through that. Doesn't mean you throw away the idea.
Right.
When do you listen? So in which direction do you align is what I'm saying. Right?
Got it. Okay, so this is where you have the work will pay off on investing in knowing yourself and your emotions. Because your body never lies. What it also has done is stored every fearful and traumatic experience you've ever had in your life is all stored in the biology of your amygdala, right? These two almond-shaped organs sitting right in the middle of your head, right? And at the very basic level, your brain seeks pleasure and avoids pain. That's what it's doing in the world. It's keeping you safe. So if there's ever been an experience that has scared you, that has upset you, that traumatized you, your amygdala is going to make sure that it contracts and saves you from that and protects you from that. So a really important question to ask yourself to get back into alignment is, have I ever experienced something like this before? So you want to ask yourself if there's anything familiar about what you're experiencing that maybe your body is trying to protect you from. So you want to decipher, am I shying away from this thing that I say I want? Because in the past, something didn't work out for me. I felt rejected. I got made fun of. I was told I couldn't do it. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough. You know, that profession isn't a real profession. So you have to learn to separate where you end and somebody else and someone else's voice begins. And that's the really important work and why you have to start by leading, knowing yourself and leading from the inside out. Because if you do it from the outside in, you're going to be like driftwood going in the ocean, whichever way the wind blows. So one person says this, you're going this way. Somebody says, no, no, no. Now you're moving the other way. What you really want to become is a sailboat with a rudder. You want to be influenced by the wind. You want to be able to have enough self-confidence in who you are such that if you have an idea and somebody gives you input or feedback, you're open enough to be able to receive those new ideas, to keep out the bad stuff, let in the good stuff, right? If somebody's, you know, damaging or saying hurtful things to you, you want to keep that stuff out, but you want to allow in new ideas, creativity, inspiration, and maybe even some criticism that seems like, hey, might that be true? So that's where accountability comes in. And then at the same time, you want to be able to say, given the direction that the wind is blowing, can I still chart my own course? And that's what a sailboat with a rudder can do.
So it sounds to me like there's a strong linkage between alignment and personal power. You can't have one without the other.
Well, they're definitely linked. Alignment will give you personal power because it becomes very easy, even when things get hard, to make clear decisions because you know who you are. You know where you end and somebody else begins. You know whether you've outgrown something or not, right? But if you have a strong inner world, right? And what I mean by that is you've developed yourself on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level, but not so rigid that your beliefs are your beliefs and you're not going to listen to anybody else. Not like that. More of like our cells, like inside our body, each individual cell, this is where my geek doctorness is going to come out. Every cell is made of a phospholipid, it's a bilayer membrane, right? It's intricate, it's complex, it lets nutrients in and keeps bad stuff, toxins, bugs, things out. So it has a way of filtering. And what you're doing by creating alignment is creating like very healthy boundaries for yourself. And personal power comes from you knowing what works for you, what you value, what doesn't, and then standing in the courage of the alignment to sometimes disappoint another in order to be true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a
Okay.
profound alignment that comes with personal power.
So describe for me a person that you would look at and say, wow, that person is in full alignment. Like, what are you seeing? What are you experiencing in their being when you see them being in full alignment?
So they're willing to take risks. They're willing to go into the unknown. They're willing to try things that they've never tried before. And they trust that they'll figure it out. Right? So when they get an opportunity, they say, sure, I don't know exactly how to do that, but I'm willing to try. And what I know about that person is that they're strong enough to fail. They're strong enough to say, if this works, I think it'll raise consciousness. It will contribute positively to the world. It will make our relationship better. But they're also willing to say, and if this fails, I'll learn something from this experience, right? So someone who has a good alignment and a strong sense of personal power has a strong vision, can see beyond now, has expanded perspective, can see how what happens to me or the choices I make influence other people and alter the direction of the world. So they see not only in the short term, they don't just look at, I want this now. They look triple vision up, as in the me, we world, but they also look in time. They look forward in that y-axis, which would be what I'm going to do now. How is that going to impact me short term? And what will be the long-term consequences of doing this? So it's really that they hold expanded vision. They have the ability to act in the now. It's like think globally, act locally, right? They have the ability to see bigger than just me now.
And they have a clear sense of purpose and values that are clear to them and that they hold themselves accountable to, and they don't lose sight of that.
And
right?
that's the spiritual piece of individual alignment that you're speaking about. They know that who they are and what they show up in the world doing, what they put their energy towards matters. So it's like, think about your body, right? If all of the sections of your body were hung in straight alignment, what can you do in this world? Anything. You can move, you're connected, everything's kind of in its place as you explore and do things in the world. But if you are out of alignment, the world becomes very confusing. Ideas, opportunities, options, you don't know if you're doing them to please someone else or whether it matters really to you, right? And the hope is that it matters to you and it works for your community and it works for your world and the natural resources, right? Are you thinking comprehensively about what you're doing, or are you making it simplistic so that you can justify your action now and then apologize later? So people who aren't thinking in this way spend a lot of their time out of alignment, apologizing, and going back, trying to fix. They have regrets. They're continually living in a way where they have to keep backtracking. And in the moment, they might think that they're making great progress in this short part. They spend a lot of time that they don't even account for going back and needing to repair relationships and, redo things and do it again. But that's never counted when they say how efficiently or effectively they did something, right? So it's a little bit of a game on the sense of like, what are we counting? What are we looking at? Now, I don't think that people who are accountable and aligned and empowered and, in their personal power don't make mistakes. On the contrary, I think they do. I think what they're willing to do, they have enough alignment and personal power that it doesn't crush them so that they can't even get up off the ground again. What they say is, wow, that didn't feel good. I think we've made the wrong turn here. What do I need to learn about how I chose to do this? What can we learn as a group? And how can we do this differently? So they use that time not to beat themselves up, and which we all do that, but they don't spend a lot of time there. They get the lesson that they need to, and they realign back on the purpose and the mission.
And if anything, they would be more aligned now. If they
Exactly.
take the lesson, right? Because they know
Right.
now what takes them out of alignment.
Yeah.
They got some signals there.
It's true.
So yeah, are there any other ways in which we can diagnose a lack of alignment on our parts? Like what are some early warning signals that we're falling out of alignment?
When your first instinct is not to reflect on you and your part, but to blame somebody else. So if the first instinct you have when something goes wrong is to say why someone else did something that made it be this way, you're out of alignment. Because the first question you need to ask is, how did I contribute to this? What's my part in this? What do I have to learn here? Now, there's some people who do that too much. You know, the people who, before, you might brush up against them and they go, I'm sorry. Okay, they didn't do anything. They were just standing there. You bumped into them and they're apologizing. Now, that's not the kind of personal accountability I'm talking about.
So that's accountability, but is that just a part of alignment then?
No, that's over accountability, and that's somebody not having enough self-esteem and confidence to look at you. They were standing still. They were right there. You ran into them.
Right, but I'm saying people who instinctively blame others for a situation.
Right.
Isn't that accountability, or is that
It's a lack of accountability.
Is that a part of alignment then? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. Because we didn't talk about this yet, but accountability, personal accountability, is a very important part of personal power and alignment. Because there's an awareness of what you're good at, where you have room to grow, right? And what's my part in this? Because if I ever say it's all someone else's fault or all my fault, it leads us into this all or none experience that can really create imbalance. And, listen, you and I might get into an argument and I might think you're 57% responsible and I'm only 43% responsible, right? You might think I'm the one who's 58% responsible and you're only, right? We all can have a different gauge of what that is. But the truth is really knowing that two people that come together create an outcome. So let's say you got upset with me and said something or yelled at me, because that would really happen very often. And I got silent and I walked away from you. The outcome of what happened was both of us. It was the stimulus and the response. That's what created the outcome. I could have yelled back. That's an option. That would have created a different outcome, right? You could have never said anything to me, but instead declined my call or declined to meet with me, right? So there's always two people creating an outcome. The percentage of contribution is up for debate, but the truth is you always want to start. If you want to be aligned, you want to be in your personal power, and you need to have some personal accountability. So definitely that's really important. So the first sign for me is when somebody in their own discomfort cannot really sit with it, so they figure out a way to put it on someone else. Well, that was her fault. It's because he did this or he didn't do this. My next question is, did you ask that person for what you wanted them to do? Usually the answer is no, they should have known. Whenever you start getting answers like that, you know someone's out of alignment. They're out of alignment because they're taking no responsibility for their part in the situation or in the experience that could have changed it. So blaming's one. If you take blaming to a bigger level, now in our world, a big thing that's going on is gaslighting. Literally confusing somebody by blaming them for something that had nothing or very little to do with them. Okay, so now we're going to flip it. How about this? Let's say someone, let's say they didn't like what I was passionate about. Maybe I was speaking about something that I was passionate about. Maybe it was about alignment and personal power and responsibility and accountability. And they didn't like it. And so let's say they walked up to me after I gave the talk and they punched me. They got really mad. They pushed me. They punched me. And I said, "What are you doing? You can't do that." And they said, "Well, you made me so mad. You deserve this because you really made me mad." That's a way where we kind of, someone is taking their own actions and in order to justify it, blaming it on me when I haven't done anything intentionally. I was asked to speak. I was speaking on what I believe, right? I wasn't intentionally doing anything or unintentionally doing anything that I thought was a problem, right? I'm just speaking. I don't know if that's a great example, but does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Or someone gets mad, they lose their temper, and they humiliate somebody else in front of, let's say, company. And then they say, like, "You're the one who upset me by what you were wearing. That skirt is too short. You never should have been wearing it, and therefore you deserve what I did to you." And it's like, now this actually in the most extreme form is around sexual abuse. So sexual abuse is the way you looked, the way you behaved, the way you dressed, you were asking for it. That's another way that it works. So gaslighting is when you try to confuse people. You're not trying to, but literally people believe that they have no responsibility for their own emotions. And when they get triggered, they blame it on somebody else's dress, behavior, what they said, and make that the reason that they behaved in an unacceptable way. So those are a few ways that you can see it.
So if you think about the leaders in the world today, which ones strike you as really being highly aligned versus not aligned? And the corollary to that is that it's possible for a toxic leader to be aligned in his or her own way, that they are true to what they believe and their worldview and so forth, and we would consider that toxic, but they are consistent. To me, alignment is about consistency in the different levels, right? So alignment doesn't necessarily mean that you are a conscious leader or a virtuous human being. True?
That's true. That's true, actually. So if I'm a leader and I am very clear that what matters to me is money, then what I will organize my life around, my actions, my behaviors, and my thoughts are around making more money. So if that's my belief system, there's my alignment, and my actions move towards that. So you're right. That's one way to do it. For other people, they might believe that equality, let's say, is their highest value or one of their highest values, and their alignment then becomes, fighting for social justice and equality, right? So I'm thinking of John Lewis, right? And I'm thinking of leaders of the civil rights movement who, for them, they are very aligned. I think you make an excellent point, which is just because you're aligned doesn't mean you're virtuous. And that's true, but at least you're consistent. So when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And people often show you who they are pretty early on. In any business relationship, in any romantic relationship, they show you who they are. I think a lot of the times we have ideas of what we want it to be, and in that space we start to make excuses for them. We start to say no, but maybe, right? That whole thing comes up. But I would really say that even children, I would say children from the time they come out, like they show us who they are. And then we try to beat it out of them. Not literally beat it out of them, but like, no, you don't believe that. What you believe is this is how we do it, right? We try to socialize them. And I think it might do us all a lot of good to just be curious about each individual soul that we encounter. Who are you? And what does your soul come here to learn? And encourage them to align with what really matters to them. Now, this is where the power of influence comes in. Now we're talking about the power of influence. And I think this is a lot of your realm. From an alignment perspective in business, you speak about caring, about putting people and purpose first, right? Having a business purpose that is higher than profit. So you say you got to have a sound business plan and, operational system, and you need to be profitable. And your core message is around caring about people. So the reason I have found it so powerful is because you are aligned. As a human being, you care about people. You truly, genuinely want everyone to feel a win-win. And so in the alignment of your message, because it goes deep in within you as alignment, you can reach a very large trajectory of people, and you can move people deeply because of that alignment.
So would words like congruence and consistency, they also kind of describe alignment in a way? Would you say those are qualities of being aligned? You're congruent with your purpose, with your values, with your inner reality, and you're consistent in that, right? You don't take the temperature and then give your response. You know what you think.
Right. And while you remain open, right? There's the twist. Mm. So yes, I think those are good words that would be in the alignment family. For some reason, alignment feels bigger to me. It's almost like when I'm hearing things like truth and honesty, integrity feels bigger to me. There's like a comprehensive nature to someone being real versus the words authentic, right? Like to me, but that's a personal word choice, what resonates with you, right? And so for some people, it may be congruence, right? Consistency means again and again, like you're reliable and consistent, that if I step on a scale and I step on it over and over again, I will get the same reading. More than just consistency to me, alignment is across all levels, and it just feels much more comprehensive, right? That I show up every day at 5 o'clock doesn't put me in alignment, but I am consistent because every day I show up at 5 o'clock, right? So I think those words are almost under the umbrella of alignment. There's some aspects of it, and I think they're in the same family.
Okay, and the last question is, we've talked mostly at the individual level, but you can say all of this about a business as well, right? That it can exhibit those qualities and be in alignment at a deeper level.
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem with business. I think business, because their share price and stock price, everything, is about getting media attention, publicity, your stock price going up, things like that. This is where our incentives are not in alignment. What you're speaking about in businesses you're asking businesses to build a strong foundation on caring, on respect, on mutual winning, where everybody wins. And for the people who live like that and believe like that, I believe in business, they find creative solutions because they can see them. For the people who want to appear that way, but they don't actually believe it's possible, they create antics and gimmicks and games, and they'll have people close credit card accounts and then reopen them and call that new accounts, right? There's an infinite number of ways that people can manipulate around goodness, right? Or whatever it is that they think it's going to take for them to be favorably viewed. And so what I look for when I look for a conscious capitalism business is one that leads from the inside of the leader out. And that person spends time, energy, and effort on continually elevating their own human software and the software of their teams, because they know how far they can go depends on the leadership and alignment from the inside out of them as a leader and of their teams. Their teams don't even just end at their businesses. It's like you say, it's not just shareholders, it's stakeholders, it's everybody it touches in the world. And one might argue it's the whole world, the ripple effect to the planet and the whole world. And so yes, this I believe is one of the core ways that when I go into any business, whether it's healthcare, whether it's, nonprofit, for-profit, whoever it is, that's the first thing I'm listening for as a consultant. Where are people in alignment? Not just what they're doing, but why they're doing it. That's alignment, right? That those are all in alignment. It's not like I want to make a profit, but I want to really look altruistic to you. So these are the ways I can create concoctions to create that outcome. But underneath, all I really care about is profit.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It was a really deep and rich conversation. Lots to unpack here and some very, very powerful ideas. So thank you, Neha.
You are so welcome. Thank you for joining us.